Hey guys, you're watching Dowski, the place to be to develop your creative skills. And in this tutorial, well, it's not actually a tutorial. We're going to be going through the latest update for February with a bit of January for Adobe XD. Hey guys, welcome back. So as I say, Adobe XD, new update has dropped. It's for February and we've got a little update in January with a few new, more minor features. I'm just going to cover everything in this video. And if you do have any questions or comments, you know what to do. Pop them down below. But anyway, let's jump to the screen. And you can see here we've got the January update, auto animate comes to the browser and more. Okay, scroll down, header image. So auto animate is now in the browser. So auto animate is this amazing, in my opinion, game-changing feature that lets you animate things beautifully in XD. God, I love it. I've like literally fallen in love with it. If you haven't heard of it, definitely check it out. But essentially, previously, you could create an animation in XD. You could preview it on like a device, a smartphone, a tablet, or actually in XD itself. But if you shared that and viewed it in a browser, the auto animate feature wasn't supported. Now it is, so, you know, great. Everyone can enjoy auto animate, whether they're on their phone or on the web, so that's great. If we keep scrolling down, another new feature, improved in XD, view all screen comments across artboards. So you can see on screen here, when you're previewing a prototype on the web, any artboard that is currently active or currently being viewed, you have the comments or any feedback that's been added related to that on the right-hand side. Now there's this checkbox in the bottom right corner called All Screen Comments, and what that enables you to do is view all of the comments for the entire project, like the entire project all in one go. So if you've got a massive project, tons of feedback, lots of comments to go through, you can just view everything for that project in one big list, which is incredibly helpful. But not only that, you can actually click on a specific comment and it will display the relevant artboard. So super cool feature. And if we carry on going, all voice languages and accent support. So voice interfaces, the whole speech playback and voice integration thing, that was announced at Max in October last year. Incredibly impressive. And there is support for this now for English, French, German, Korean, or Japanese. So Adobe XD is not only free for Mac or for PC, but now they're just adding more and more support. So, you know, it's definitely worth checking out. It's free to download and it's just becoming more and more accessible to everyone around the world. So that's pretty cool. So if we go down here, the Adobe XD plugin ecosystem, new features and tools. So they've added a couple of new features to plugins. If you don't know what plugins are, they essentially add new functionality to Adobe XD that isn't necessarily native. There's hundreds at the moment and they're amazing. Definitely check them out. And there's now the ability for users, that's us, to disable the plugins without actually uninstalling them. Something that I really appreciate because I want to download a ton of plugins, but I don't necessarily want them all active at the same time. So that's really good. And developers can now access colors and text styles in the assets panel. So as I say, for January, a fairly minor update to XD. We had a massive one towards the end of last year. So this one's a bit more low key, but we also have the February update. So let's just switch over to this. And by the way, if you want to check out either of these blog posts, which all have like fantastic little 3 to 6 minute videos to accompany each of the key points, then definitely check them out in the video description. I'll link them below because you can find a feature that you want to learn, just watch the video and it'll explain it in literally a few minutes. If you can't wait for me to make a video on it anyway, just go ahead, they're really good. Okay, so February 2019, release of Adobe XD, more love for Photoshop and Illustrator, audio narration, and increased language support. Wow, that is a mouthful of a title, 4-line title. We've got a nice big old header image. Let's scroll down. Okay, so improved in XD, importing from Photoshop and Illustrator and exporting to After Effects. So for a while, you've been able to open up Photoshop files and more recently Illustrator files straight into XD, and it opens like a separate file, retains the layers, all that good stuff. But now it opens up that Photoshop or Illustrator file into your document that is already open, and it converts, what does it say here? Any smart objects will import as expanded layers instead of bitmaps, and any adjustment layers are retained. So the Photoshop file stays fully editable instead of just being like flattened into a single image. So that's really cool, and that's something that's been developed quite a lot over these little iterations with XD being updated. And it says at the bottom, to make sure all your files stay connected, CC Libraries links will now be retained for Photoshop and Illustrator files imported into XD. So we've got Illustrator, we've got Photoshop, we've got XD, and in a minute I'll talk about After Effects. It's just all like all these different apps that are all awesome in their own way. They're just coming together, and I freaking love it. Okay, so designers who want to add an extra jolt of advanced animation to their prototypes now have more power thanks to improved visual fidelity when exporting to After Effects. So if you design like a sick design in Adobe XD and you're like, I want to export this to After Effects because After Effects is also awesome, and you can add some like really slick animation, like do like a really nice mobile mock-up, just something really, really beautiful. You can do that now. You just go to File, down to Export, select After Effects, you're straight in After Effects, and you can add that animation. This is just adding more support, more visual fidelity, and looking at this, it now supports text paragraph spacing and inside and outside strokes, and it will also handle symbols better. So essentially, it's just making that process of exporting your design from XD to After Effects and it looking exactly the same, retaining all those properties and everything. It's just making that more seamless. So that's really, really cool. Okay. Improved in XD, record interactions with audio narration. So you probably know in XD, you can design something, you can even prototype it, and then what you can do is play that prototype in a little kind of preview window within XD itself. You can click the record icon in the top right corner, I believe it is, and it will record your screen capture. So you could demo something, for example, and you get a little cursor and you could interact with your prototype. Now what you can do is you can actually record your voice as well. So if you really want to like demonstrate to something, to someone, whether it's a client or a stakeholder or you're presenting, you can now go through that prototype and record it, and also record your voice as part of the recording. So that's really, really cool. Something else improved in XD is the Eyedropper shortcut makes changing colors easier. Those are their words, like literally there, but you know, I'm a huge fan of shortcuts. I love me some keyboard shortcuts, like, I really do. This one is the Eyedropper tool. Normally, you've got to whiz over to the property inspector on the right. You've got to select the tool and then do your sampling. Now, you just press I on the keyboard. I don't know why I'm doing that, that's one. You press I on the keyboard, the I key, and it will just select the color sampler or the eyedropper, whatever you want to call it, and you just sample your color really, really quickly. So that's super cool. It's one of those little things that if you, like me, and you use the eyedropper tool a lot to sample different colors, it just makes everything quicker, speedier, faster, which is kind of what XD is all about, really. So that's fantastic. And we scroll down. The Adobe Try again. The Adobe XD plugin ecosystem, more than 100 plugins and growing. Okay, so this is essentially just reminding people that there are over 100 plugins. They're really, really awesome. You should definitely check them out and download it at XD because it's free. And there are some like UI Faces, Calendar, Lorem Ipsum, which are just brilliant, like, you know, must-haves. Lorem Ipsum essentially allows you to add placeholder text in XD. So if you want to just kind of quickly throw in some dummy text, some Lorem Ipsum into your mock-up or your prototype, just boom, there you go. And these are just literally a few. Like, honestly, you go and look at the plugins, you can get lost for like a long time and you can have a lot of fun. So plugins, and also new to XD support for Spanish and Brazilian Portuguese. So as I said in the January update, English, French, German, Japanese and Korean has been there for a while. Well, a little while, but now we've got support for Spanish and Brazilian Portuguese. So if you're Spanish or you speak Brazilian Portuguese, then fantastic. As I say, Adobe XD, just free, becoming more accessible to everyone. And yeah, and this is support for like the voice recognition and the speech playback features and the Adobe XD app itself. So this is all just fantastic. So there we go. There's a quick look at the February and January updates for Adobe XD. If you do have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, or you can just reach out and ask the Adobe XD team on Twitter. They're incredibly active and always very helpful. So if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Like the like button and maybe subscribe if you want to see more. I don't know. There's a big red button somewhere. You can do that. And I've totally botched this outro, but I'm going to carry on. So anyway, I'll see you later. Alligator in a while. I'm going. All right, I'm out. I'll see you later.